So I'd like to introduce Decade, which is the EPSRC Centre for the Decentralised Digital Economy, which is led by the University of Surrey, working with the University of Edinburgh and the Digital Catapult. So the aim of Decade is to help move towards a fairer digital future. So we're seeing a potential transformational shift in our digital economy. We would like to see this move from the classical models of monolithic institutions which control consumer data towards a decentralized peer-to-peer economy where everybody can be producer and consumer. But to do this, we need to address the socio-technical challenges that we face. We'll look to examine the emerging decentralized digital economy from three perspectives. We'll look at how value is co-created, looking at content creation and consumption. We'll look at how we identify with and use digital services and how they use and manipulate us, and how this affects the way individuals and employers interact in, for instance, the decentralized future of work. So why DLT? Why now? So we're seeing a growth of decentralization. We're seeing data-driven innovation enabling some novel decentralized marketplaces. If you think about, say, YouTube, it's a decentralized TV marketplace where anyone can make their own TV shows, and Airbnb, Uber, Deliveroo. If you've got a bicycle, you can run a delivery company. And these are informal practices that create flexibility. They fit around people's complex lives. It provides an opportunity for a broad section of society to use their resources to create value. There is growing commercial interest in distributed ledger technology. There's growing use of it in supply chains for traceability. However, just as with AI, organizations don't have any incentive to act outside of their commercial interests. There's no incentive to act for the societal good, for the individual good even. And we actually see a vacuum of socioeconomic analysis into this. So there's growing societal concern over the power and centralized governance of many digital platforms. We see these platform providers seemingly isolated from context and use, and they don't seem to recognize the implication for the way they operate on individuals. And we're seeing adverse impacts, inequality, displacement, fake news, and a segmentation of society. So there's an awful lot that needs to be unpacked and explored, and perhaps we can find ways to develop these businesses in more mutually beneficial ways. Distributed economy lacks regulation, and we see this particularly in the space of cryptocurrency. I mean, for those who read around cryptocurrency, there really was this interpretation of the Wild West. It's a really interesting space. I think there's tremendous value and excitement there, but it comes with many issues to unpack. We have 4 research challenge areas. We're looking at scalable and secure digital platforms, how we build them, how the technologies work, and the AI that might underpin that. We're looking at modeling value in this decentralized digital economy, looking at the business models, processes of value creation, looking at the design and engagement of the decentralized digital economy, looking at our capacity to understand, deploy and innovate with these decentralized systems. And we're also looking at governance and regulation. So we have law as part of the centre that allows us to really dive into those legal challenges, and also where there's no law, and maybe that needs to be developed. So we started this centre with a number of ideas, project scenarios, which is where we start. So one that we're looking at is looking at content provenance. So if you like, a truth engine for media. So this is to combat both fake news and also IP or licensing. So if we can encode images and video, with some form of hash that can then be registered on a blockchain whenever that image has appeared. If it's embedded within the image, we can see if that image has been corrupted by checking its hash, and therefore you can then see, has somebody tampered with this image using this blockchain as a register. We're looking at next generation content production. Say a broadcaster's covering a live event, they might have a limited number of cameras that they brought with them, but there's potentially hundreds if not thousands of camera phones which may all provide unique angles. Now if we can put say an app on that, maybe in real time we can do micro contracts to access somebody's unique perspective of a gig or some form of event, and we can, the editor can choose to live stream directly from somebody's phone and create these incredible new experiences. I think that'd be really exciting. We might look at decentralized work and the record of a gig economy. If your reputation is enhanced by your work record, or maybe you're in nursing or some medical profession where you must build up a list of your working experiences, well, something like a distributed ledger might be a suitable way of record keeping in a secure way that allows you to share that and also provide some form of compliance against some audit. And we might look at commodification of personal data, particularly useful when we look at Internet of Things. So if we're trying to learn, say, about sleep and you check into a hotel, you may agree to exchange some data that can be collected as you sleep on your sleep patterns for a discount. So you trade the data for a discount on the hotel. Lots of opportunities to trade data, which we can use using AI, micro-contracting, and using DLT ledgers as that record of exchange. So we've already been doing some work on supply chain visibility using blockchain distributed ledger to create trust in product and processes. Now, what the ledger provides is provenance. That's the history of where something was. And we've done 4 cases. This was published, you can see the links below, published in Supply Chain Management. We looked at fishing, we looked at agri-data, grain, we looked at wine, we looked at baby food. We're continuing work on baby food and also starting to look at chocolate supply chains. So tracing things through a supply chain and registering where it was all the way through into a blockchain that provides a nice shareable yet immutable record of where things were. There's potential here to help reduce labour abuses, modern slavery as it's often called. If we can capture location, people and equipment, we can see, in the case of fishing boats, if somebody's been held at sea for a long time, because we know where they are all the time. If we're looking at chocolate and cocoa from Ecuador at the moment, we're really trying to make sure, did that cocoa come from that farm, and can we audit that farm and keep these records? We also hope to look at cotton in the very near future as well. So the blockchain holds processing data that can be used as evidence of this process veracity. It's really about helping audit. It's only part of a system, but it's a very important part because it is difficult to change. So these blockchain systems really help create a perception of trust, and from that we can create good supply chain systems. One of the big hopes from the Decade project is creating this legacy, a pool of researchers, at least 14, and we hope to bring in more than that. We're looking at some partnership exchange opportunities. We've got internships for individuals to gain new perspectives, transferring knowledge. We've also got 3-month 50/50 funded industrial embedded fellowships where people can come and work in the centre with us. We'll host executive addresses. We'll invite business leaders to speak and for other people to come and listen. We're looking at visits across America and also exchanges with other similar next stage EPSRC centres that have been created. So who are the team? Well, academically we're led by Professor John Colomosso, who's our centre director. We've got Professor Steve Schneider in cybersecurity. Professor Glenn Parry, that's me. I'm co-director and I'm in the business school. Professor Chris Speed, who's Design Informatics in Edinburgh, and Professor Burkhard Schaffer, who's our legal expert up in Edinburgh. We've also got 34 business partners who've pledged up to 4.1 million of support. So this is the group, different organisations from government to small businesses, and a lot of exciting partners that we're going to be working with. So that was a brief overview of Decade, the EPSRC Next Generation Centre for the Decentralised Digital Economy. If you're interested, please do visit our website and get in touch. We're always happy to hear from you.